guys, it's Lindsay from the Glasgow Football Tour, and this is our channel Football Makes Glasgow. We've been invited this evening to come to the Jimmy Johnstone Academy, which is just outside Cafkin Park. Very, very excited. We're here obviously to speak about the Lord of the Wing, Jimmy Johnstone. We're going to be talking all things football, and we might be getting into a little bit of football memories as well. Guys, if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe below, and yeah, thanks very much for supporting the channel. James Connolly Johnstone was born on the 30th of September 1944. Wee Jinky, who played as an outside right, was a genius with a ball at his feet, a Celtic legend, a footballing icon. Jimmy grew up on Old Edinburgh Road in View Park, Uddingston. And when he was a wee guy, he would dribble round milk bottles in the garden, wearing his father's pit boots to strengthen his wee legs. Apparently, that's how legends are made. I get invited along to the Jimmy Johnstone Academy to sit with Robert Harvey, Jim Simmonetti and Kenny Butler to discuss the magnificent Jinky Jimmy Johnstone. Guys, first thing I want to talk about really is Jimmy himself. I never saw Jimmy Johnstone play. My memories of Jimmy Johnstone, are sadly of his passing in 2006. Genuinely, that's probably not where it started for me. I do remember my Uncle Eddie going on and on about Jimmy. That's probably my earliest memory in football, is going to my Uncle Eddie's, Man Elners, on a Saturday night, sitting watching Match of the Day, and he'd say, "You need to watch this, you need to watch this, wee woman." And it'd be the old Jinky video. I can still see it to this day. It's a green cover, yellow writing, and we'd watch it, and I didn't think it was real. I honestly thought it was something, a movie. I was like, this guy isn't real. And the whole time, my Uncle Eddie, who could not kick a ball to save himself, would be jinking about this living room every time he got past. Look, he goes again. Look, he goes again. Look, he goes, does it again.
I'm still jinking about the living room. I'm still doing that every day.
And that's my earliest memory of Jinky, but also the 2006 Scottish League Cup final. And I was in tears. I didn't see Jimmy play, but all you could hear for the Celtic crowd that day was Jimmy Johnstone, and everybody was chanting it, and I was filled up. And I didn't even know him, didn't see him play really live.
But you felt the emotion.
100%.
And that's what happens even to this day. You still feel the emotion about Jimmy Johnstone. He was such a massive character, and he was such a massive player as well in the world of football. And the memories of Jimmy Johnstone, everybody's got their own wee piece there, Lindsay, that they can remember, the good games, even some of the bad games and whatever. But obviously Robert, obviously yourself, you were a ex-player with Clyde. What's your thoughts on Jimmy Johnstone?
I mean, I'm of the age where I've seen Jimmy playing, so I've seen a Lisbon Lions playing. He was unique. Johnstone was unique. And one of the things that I think of is, if you compare him to modern football, if you go to a modern football game just now, it's all one-touch football. So a really, really good player, a top midfield player in modern football, is probably on the ball 2.5, 3 minutes in 90 minutes, something of that order. That's what they're on the ball. Whereas if you watch Jimmy Johnstone, he got the ball. You could go for a pie and bovril and come back, and he still hit the ball. And one of the things that is often, focusing on playing live was how brave he was. He was unbelievably brave as a footballer. He took the knocks, he got up. He took the knocks, he got up, and he always wanted the ball.
After European domination, Celtic were invited to play Real Madrid in the great Alfredo Di Stefano's testimonial. Wee Jinky rose to the occasion and arguably gave his greatest ever performance for Celtic. He absolutely tormented the Real Madrid defence to the point where the Real fans themselves chanted "Ole, ole" every time the wee man beat a defender. Celtic won the game 1-0 and were now Europe's greatest side without any doubt. And when the final whistle went, Wee Jinky picked the ball up and held it aloft with one hand in front of the Santiago Bernabeu. They rose to acclaim the wee red-headed wonder. They'd never seen anything like it. He was quite different, quite special.
My favourite game, although I wasn't there, never seen it live, but when I watched the footage, I think it's possibly the Di Stefano testimonial. I think that's one of my favourite ones where he just absolutely tears Real Madrid apart in that game, and the Real Madrid team going backwards as Jimmy was coming forwards, and then when they were coming forward, Jimmy was going backwards. They couldn't get the ball off him. He's flicking it over their heads. He gave a magnificent pass right through for Bobby Lennox guys, down the right hand side and goal. Fantastic. So that game stands out in my memory. But there's lots of games.
There's not many footballers in the world, Jim. That game that you're talking about with Di Stefano, the testimonial.
Yeah.
100,000 Spaniards stood up to give the ovation.
Yeah.
So
One of the most special games in football across the board. That's very unusual for that to happen. The Santiago Bernabeu is one of the best stadiums in the world. Very big support group there, and I think to be able to do that, it's somebody different. As I say, I was on the phone yesterday to Pat Woods. Pat's a friend, wrote tons of Celtic books, and I was on the phone to him yesterday, and it's like talking to a wee guy again. He's like, it was just different. That's all I could say. He must have said that about 10 times. And I've got there's always been a rumour that Real Madrid offered to buy Jinky after that game.
That's right,
I think all the players have sort of said it. And the one story, again, my daft stories, but one story that I read was that they'd offered £100,000. And Steen says, okay, what game do you want him for? You get him for 90 minutes and it costs 100,000.
Also, Lindsay, after the banquet, during the banquet that night with Celtic and Real Madrid, Di Stefano came and got Jimmy along with Puskas, Santa Maria and Hentel.
Yeah.
And they went and got the photographs taken, and they says, you belong with us. And he got them, you look at them, between them guys, Santa Maria, Puskas, 4 European medals, Di Stefano, 5 European medals. It's fantastic for Jimmy to be in amongst that. But when Jimmy went to play, Jimmy Johnstone was an entertainer first and foremost. And there he is in one of the biggest stages in the world. And there at Real Madrid. So he put on a fantastic show that night. But Jimmy looked at all the fields throughout the world where he played in as being a stage.
Yeah.
Every football park was a stage, and Jimmy would go in and entertain. But that was, in my opinion, that was his big night.
It's a crown jewel,
Oh, tremendous.
Jimmy joined the Celtic ground staff at 15, having previously played for Blantyre Celtic. He was nicknamed Stefano after the great Real Madrid legend Alfredo Di Stefano. This was a player that Jimmy admired greatly.
Did I know Jimmy Johnstone? I certainly did.
Yeah. Can I ask, who did he admire, do you think, most in football? Who did he look up to?
Oh, Di Stefano.
That was the one.
Di Stefano. He loved Di Stefano, but the great man that Kenny spoke about.
I thought you were talking about Kenny.
Kenny, Stanley Matthews. He based himself on him and Di Stefano. So he had the two, Matthews, Di Stefano, and who he admired most? Those two, but there was another one he admired. He admired to an extent that he felt that he was probably the greatest Celt was Bobby Murdoch.
Oh really? Oh, that's something.
He voted for Bobby.
Really?
He voted for Bobby Murdoch. I asked him a question one time. I says, "Who's the best player you've ever played with?" He says, "Bobby." He says, "Bobby who?" He says, Bobby Murdoch. Who's the best player you played against? Bobby Murdoch in training. That's fact. That's fact. That's what he says to me. That Bobby Murdoch. So, as a young man, he's Matthews, Di Stefano, but then when they started to play the game, and it's when you're on the park and you see the brilliance of a player beside you and intelligence and the game intelligence of a player, Bobby Murdoch.
He used to have a mural in here which took up the full wall when you came in the door there.
Yes.
And it was based on Real Madrid and Jimmy, obviously, in the European Cup, the testimonial from Di Stefano. And as I showed you earlier on, the picture inside there when Jimmy was 15 and he's nicknamed Stefano, and how he goes from there as a 15, 16-year-old to go and see Real Madrid playing 1960. Rangers are the greatest team he ever saw. And 7 years later, he's playing against them in the testimonial. So it's full circle.
It is, it's a full circle.
Kenny explained as he took me around the facilities that Maley brought McGrory, who in turn brought wee Jinky. Although without an intervention from a certain Jimmy Gribben, he could have been a Manchester United player. The boys are very keen to tell you that Jimmy first wore the green and white hoops of his beloved Celtic out at Cafkin Park in a game against Third Lanark. The significance being that Cafkin Park is now the permanent home of the JJ Academy. The boys have mentioned Jimmy's first footballing hero Stanley Matthews, but his first love was Celtic Football Club.
And there were certain players at Celtic very, very rarely played a bad game during the big games, you know, and there's something about it, you know, there's something about these guys who played for Celtic then, who they could just hit that level and they stayed at that level.
See, I think that's quite important what you just says there, Robert. There was something about these guys that played for Celtic then. You see, Jimmy Johnstone wasn't a Celtic player first and foremost. Jimmy Johnstone was a Celtic supporter, first and foremost. And he had the privilege to play for Celtic. And he always stated it was a privilege playing for Celtic. Yes, Jimmy Johnstone could have went to Real Madrid, he could have went to Barcelona, could have went to Manchester United, he could have went to any team in the world. But he was happy at home, just like Di Stefano was Kenny was saying earlier. He was happy playing for Celtic. He was delighted to play for Celtic. He wanted to play for Celtic because he knew what it meant to play for Celtic, because he was a supporter. And he never ever forgot that. He never forgot the fans that support Celtic. He never thought he was anything other than a Celtic supporter who played for Celtic. And you know, and maybe today that's a valuable lesson for everybody that plays for a club, that let's maybe just not look at the money that they're given, let's look at the people who they're playing for. And that could be every club. But Jimmy Johnstone was a Celtic supporter.
With someone so extraordinary, it's no use doing the ordinary, so I've decided to create a series in 4 parts. Thank you for watching the Jimmy Johnstone Academy Jinky's Legacy Part 1. If this has captured your imagination, please like and subscribe below. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Glasgow Football Tour.